Sonics basketball is a presentation of Full House Sports and Entertainment.
Valentine's Day 1997 in the Pacific Northwest, and we have a sweetheart of a Western Conference matchup for you tonight. Key Arena, Seattle Center playing host to the third and fourth best records in the West, Charles Barkley and the Houston Rockets, 33-16, in for a visit with Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics, 33-15. This is a Sonics television event, so if you already haven't done so, here's the opportunity to grab someone special, pick up the phone, and reserve your warm and cozy seat with us as the Sonics and the Rockets meet for the third time this season. Hi again, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. We're counting you down to tip-off Mitch Levy as the Sonics and the Rockets get ready for their third battle of the season. Could you have dreamed of a more romantic Valentine's night? You, a loved one, perhaps a fireplace, a bottle of champagne, and Kevin and Marcus. Sounds good to me. Our two Cupids will join us in just a few short moments. You know, with all the controversy surrounding the Sonics over the last week and a half, there has been one bit of terrific news for these Seattle Supersonics, and that is the return of number 10, Nate McMillan, who was in the lineup the other night against Denver. The numbers were not gaudy, but 16 minutes, 3 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals. A serious emotional lift for both his teammates and the crowd. Amazing how Nate McMillan makes everyone around him play just a little bit better. The return of Nate gives George Karl the flexibility of using Gary Payton more in the off-guard position. The terrific overall career stats of Nate McMillan, first all-time in assists and steals. But perhaps more important than the numbers on the right is the smile on the left, the significance of the clubhouse effect that Nate McMillan has on his teammates, and also, since it's Valentine's Day, the love affair that Nate McMillan has on Sonic fans throughout the Pacific Northwest. So it's Nate McMillan and the Seattle Supersonics with the Houston Rockets in the house tonight. Let's get down to the two Cupids tonight, Marcus Johnson and the voice of the Seattle Supersonics, Mr. Kevin Calabro. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mitch, and a happy Valentine's Day to you and to yours.
And to you.
Thank you. Nate McMillan leads the Supersonics, or actually is in the top 10 in this Sonics history in 10 different categories. He's been sensational. He means everything to this basketball team, as Mitch has pointed out.
Well, I mean, he's the heart and soul. He's kind of like the security blanket if you're George Karl or Gary Payton. But in tonight's game, the more immediate future, he's going to do a terrific job, I believe, in shutting down the youthfulness in this backcourt of Houston. Matt Maloney and Randy Livingston, both rookies.
Yeah, both young players. They obviously lose Clyde Drexler out for another 2 to 3 weeks with the hamstring, but Brent Price is back and playing very well. He had 20 points the other night against Vancouver, and he hit some threes.
Yeah, and that was one of the problems when the Sonics met this ball club here at the Key Arena the first time. This team just shot the heck out of the three-point shot that has to be dealt with tonight.
So that's what we'll be watching earlier tonight in this game is Nate McMillan, and defensively his impact on the youthful Houston guards. Mitch?
All right, Kevin, Marcus, Houston, and the Sonics getting ready, the homestand rather, for the Sonics tonight against the Houston Rockets. And first things are first with Houston, but it doesn't get much easier after tonight. You go right on the road on Sunday and you face the Los Angeles Lakers. In fact, it's the beginning of a lot of road games over the next 6 weeks. The Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal will not be there on Sunday because of the injury, but the Lakers are tough anyhow without him. And then on the 23rd of February, the Utah Jazz in their place. The Sonics haven't been able to beat the Jazz here, let alone there this season. And then it's off to an Eastern Conference road trip, which culminates on the 18th of March with number 23 Michael Jordan in Chicago. Just give the guy the MVP award. The Bulls will await the Sonics in their first matchup in Chicago since the NBA Finals. There's the schedule. Look at the toughies. The Lakers, the Knicks, the Jazz, the Cavs, and Pacers are tough on the road, as are the Heat, who don't seem to lose ever. The Magic have been playing better. And then the next page is not any better. There's the Magic one more time on a home-and-home series, a rare one in the NBA. And look at the end of March. The Hawks, Pistons, and Bulls in consecutive fashion. So this is going to be very, very difficult. The key for Detlef Schrempf, at least, is to get off on a good start tonight against the Houston Rockets.
Oh, it's a big game because second half of the season we had a little All-Star break, and I think we want to kind of focus a little bit better in the second half of the season, get ready for the playoffs. So you know, we have to beat some of the better teams in the league, and Houston's definitely one of them.
And guys, if they can't beat them at home, it's going to be more and more difficult to beat these guys on the road. You've got Utah, the Lakers, and of course the Rockets here tonight. Let's get back down to Kevin and Marcus. Gentlemen.
Yeah, and just a brief note on that schedule, Marcus. This will be a true litmus test for the Sonics ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the Ides of March. This is like the yikes of March. It could be, but I like it because, again, you have Terry Cummings getting in better shape. Mac 10 will be in the house and playing well. It's a great test for the Sonics. I really expect them to do extremely well over this next stretch of road games.
How do you defend Charles Barkley? What do you do against Barkley? I think one of the things that we overlook about Barkley is his adaptability on the floor. He's one of the few players in this league playing at this level that can, on any given night, give you what you need at the appropriate time, much like Michael Jordan.
And again, like Michael Jordan, he has an extremely high skill level. He can handle the ball exceptionally well. People forget that. He's a great passer. He averages 4.7 assists a game. A guy like Matt Maloney, his points go up considerably when Charles Barkley's on the floor. His shooting percentage goes up. That's because Barkley is like a magnet. He draws defensive attention wherever he is. You got to block him out if he's trying to offensive rebound. You got to send double team help, or this will happen to you. And I guess the million-dollar question for George Karl and the Sonics with a guy like Barkley is, who do you try to put on him to stop him or contain him? Because you're not going to stop him. Charles Barkley is just too tough, especially when he's knocking down the long-range jump shot.
Well, remember this summer when Houston acquired Charles Barkley, and the word was that you could no longer double-team Hakeem Olajuwon, and it's quite true.
Yeah, but again, the Sonics, I think tonight will try something they employed against Chicago, double team the two superstars, and then rely on just frenetic defense, just crazy scrambling rotation to get to the outside shooter. So if that's a concern, again, this team, Houston, was 12 for 25 from the tray line the last time these two teams met at the Key Arena. If you single coverage Kareem, he's going to light you up big time. The Sonics held him to 9 points, but still lost the ball game here at the Key.
Well, there was a discussion at practice between Charles Barkley and George Karl about how you defend Charles, and Charles had a few pointers for George.
Yeah.
How do you want us to cover you now?
You can't. It don't matter who you put on me.
McElwain's not good?
Not to guard me. He's a nice kid, though. You can't guard me.
Perkins can't cover you?
No.
The only way you cover
If the guy was in the slower,
only
he
way
wouldn't show up to tomorrow.
Only way you scored on last time was back over. You couldn't score on most. You guys got to put Kemp on.
You don't want to do that. You know you'll be in foul trouble the first quarter.
We got good referees tonight. You're not going to intimidate like you usually do.
Oh, and intimidate him. Let me stop getting
Tell us
silly
about the
fouls.
referees. How good are you?
A couple of them in trouble. Hey, it's got to get worse.
Now, that's the other intangible about Charles' game. He, again, is a great guy at psyching you out. He can get into another guy's head.
Yeah, it's like that thing about Michael Jordan with Van Gundy said in New York. You know, he comes up, pats you on the butt, tells you how beautiful you look tonight, and then goes out and kicks your behind. But Barkley is a great character. He's, I think, a great person for this league in terms of just being an individual. And to top it off, he still puts the numbers up night in and out and averaging 40 minutes a game. So he's on the floor all the time.
There you have it, Mitch.
A rare display of self-confidence by Charles Barkley in that videotape. He ought to really take some pride in his work a little bit more.
Gary fires a three with 2 seconds on the shot clock and banked it in. Oh, my goodness. Full stride, one man to beat. Takes Barkley airborne to the glass. Lays it up and in. Get on that magic carpet and ride. Left-handed traffic up and in. Oh, you couldn't do it any better, baby. Towards the Hawk Hill challenge into the lane. Lay it up and in.
see Hawkins, 18-footer, got it! Oh, what a shot!
And welcome back to the Key Arena at Seattle Center as we get set for the third meeting of the season between the Houston Rockets and the Seattle Supersonics at the Key. This is a Sonics television event, so don't forget, pick up the phone and call your local cable operator to reserve your seat with us for this third meeting between the Rockets and the Seattle Supersonics. Mitch Levy, Kevin Calabro, Marcus Johnson counting you down to tip-off on the warm-up show. And joining us now, the talented head coach of the Houston Rockets, Rudy Tomjanovich. First of all, welcome back to Seattle. And how about a midseason report from the coach? You've suffered through some injuries. First it was Clyde and Akeem. Now it's actually Charles and Akeem. Now it's Clyde. But you are still within a whisper of the top spot in the Western Conference.
Yeah, we started out coming out of the gate real fast, 22-2, and sort of set the pace. We've been there before. I know how hard it is to stay up there. And then the injury bug bit us, and we've had, Akeem with a heart deal, various other injuries, and at one time, two of our top three players out, and now Charles is back, and that's such a positive because he's such a competitor, and Clyde's going to be out for a while, and as an overview of the first half of the season, we have to be satisfied because we have had some tough luck. But like you say, we're still in close distance to the leaders in the West.
Kind of an interesting story at point guard for you guys this year. You signed Brent Price in the offseason. He gets injured. Matt Maloney out of Penn comes in here, does a terrific job, and now Brent has some trouble getting back in the lineup. It's kind of a nice situation for you to have as head coach.
Yeah, well, early in the season when we talked about that real good stretch, those young guys really established themselves, and I've always been a coach that has a lot of respect for the guys in the rotation who are doing the job. I realized early in being a head coach that there's going to be 3 or 4 guys that are just not going to get the kind of minutes that they want. However, that situation changed when Clyde went down. I've got to be creative, and I've got to find a way to use a guy like Brent Price. And fortunately, in our last ball game at home, we put him in the rotation, and he responded in a big way. And hopefully the rest of the season he will be in the rotation and shooting the ball the way we know he can.
With the 4 teams that are so bunched in the top of the Western Conference, Utah, you guys, Seattle, and the Lakers, the significance in your mind of Shaquille O'Neal's injury, it's interesting how an injury could really have an impact on how this thing finishes atop the Western Conference.
Yeah, I've always said luck is a big part of having a successful season, and it's probably the factor that disappoints people more than anything. It isn't your free throw shooting or defense, because you can work on those deals, but when you lose a player and you can't replace them with someone of his talent, it could really knock you out of kilter. And they're going to be tested. We've gone through that several times. Our second championship year, we didn't have the lineup that eventually won the championship. I think we had it for about 30 minutes in one game, and it's a tough way to go, but a negative like that can be turned into a positive. It can make you a stronger team, and when you get your starter back, you're even a better ball club.
Take it easy on the Sonics in this Game 3.
Well, these games are always tough, and we have tremendous respect for these guys. We're expecting a hard-fought basketball game.
Thanks, Coach. We continue on the warm-up show as the Sonics get ready for the Houston Rockets. Game 3 of the 1997 series. Let's get back down courtside to Kevin Calabro and Marcus Johnson.
Thank you, Mitch. As everybody knows, the Supersonics had dominated the Houston Rockets over the last year and a half after sweeping them in the playoffs for love. The two teams got together for the first time in Key Arena, but Houston was a little bit different. Obviously, the addition of Charles Barkley and Matt Maloney, and it was with Maloney's outside shooting and Barkley doing everything else that they beat the Sonics in Game 1.
Yeah, that domination was BC before the Chuckster came in the house, and he did a terrific job. But the Sonics, again, came out, especially Gary Payton, lackadaisical, like he wanted to be any place other than Key Arena that night. Payton tried to pick it up in the second half, but by that time, Houston was shot 12 for 25 from the three-point line. They were on fire. Their confidence was up. It was too late to make a surge. The Sonics got down 10 early, played them even the rest of the game, but that was still only good enough to lose by 9. They've got to come out of the gate a lot better tonight.
And remember, McMillan did not play in that game, nor did he play in the second meeting of the year between the two teams when the Rockets won 99-91. And again, it was Houston shooting well, but Seattle got off to a good start. They had a 7-point lead at the end of one.
The Sonics had great energy in that ball game down in Houston. Gary Payton came out ready to play. The thing I thought that hurt the Sonics, Sam Perkins was 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5 from long range down the stretch. Now, Rudy Tomjanovich got away with playing both Matt Maloney and Randy Livingston for stretches in the fourth quarter. The Sonics actually built a 5-point lead, but then Barkley, Olajuwon came back in, and it was lights out.
Look at the two games. The Rockets shooting 50% and holding the Sonics to 44%. Houston, a tremendous defensive ball club, and rebounding totals nearly even, which I thought was interesting and encouraging for the Supersonics, although Seattle did turn the ball over more than did the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, and I think that's a major key. The Sonics forced just under 15 turnovers a game, those two games. Houston averages over 17 turnovers a game. That's where pressure, pit bull, discombobulating defense spearheaded by Nate McMillan is going to come in tonight.
Well, after that second win for the Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon had some comments about the Seattle Supersonic. We caught up with him recently to see if he still held those beliefs of a month ago.
They made some changes where they don't think that changes was that big, but it is. You know, losing some key players, but they don't realize how important these players are to that team. So they've lost that fire which they had last year. But still, they still have a quality team.
And those essentially were the comments that he made following the win at the Summit in Houston.
Yeah, and look for Hakeem again tonight. In terms of the Sonics defensively against Hakeem, they're going to double team him every time he touches the basketball. They don't want him to hurt them. They're going to double team Barkley, which seems like a task that's going to be difficult. It is. They're going to open up the perimeter, but that's where the energy has to be at an all-time high for the Sonics tonight on defense.
So, Mitch, it appears that Hakeem Olajuwon is not a McIlvain believer, because I think those comments were pointed directly at Big Mac.
We'll see what happens tonight on the floor rather than the discussions beforehand off the floor. McIlvain with a chance to make amends, and the Sonics with a chance to win for the first time over the Houston Rockets this season. 8 other NBA scores, 8 other NBA games tonight, 7 of which are underway. So let's get you updated on the rest of the world of the National Basketball Association. Our first stop is Toronto. Look at Damon Stoudemire handle and then fall away for the three-point play. And the Toronto Raptors had an early lead over Milwaukee. But Milwaukee comes back. The big dog, Glenn Robinson, out to Ray Allen, the rookie, who finds Robinson again for the hoop and the harm. Milwaukee gets back in it, but it's Toronto with the lead by 3 in the third quarter, 71-68. From Toronto to Baltimore, the Washington Bullets play a few of their home games at the Baltimore Arena. Calbert Chaney with a baseline move and the slam. He had 12 points early. Back come the Nets the other way. A fast break hoop. Kevin Edwards, the former Heat and former DePaul member, gets New Jersey on the board, but Washington has the lead. They play at in the third quarter now. It is 58-50. The Bullets on top of the New Jersey Nets. Off to Charlotte and the high. Vlade Divac to Scotty Burrell for a quick jump shot as Detroit fell behind early, but back come the Pistons. Lindsey Hunter is going to miss the open three-pointer. There's Don Reed out of Georgetown for the tip-in as the Pistons get back to within shouting distance of the Charlotte Hornets, and they now play in the third quarter with the Pistons leading by 6. Other NBA scores on the board. It is Chicago trailing at Atlanta. Kind of an intriguing Eastern Conference matchup with the Hawks so hot at home. Christian Laettner has 9, and the Hawks lead by 8. Elsewhere, Minnesota over Orlando, 40-37. Kevin Garnett leads the T-Wolves with 6 points. They play in the second quarter. It is Golden State on top of San Antonio on the road. The Warriors beat Dallas the other night. They try to finish off the Texas two-step. 8-point lead in the second quarter at Phoenix. It is the Clippers and the Suns very, very early. And tonight, a little bit later, the Boston Celtics and the Vancouver Grizzlies north of the border. We continue on the warm-up show. The Sonics and the Houston Rockets getting ready to do battle for the third time this season at the Key Arena. The Sonics are 0-2 against the Rockets. Coming up, George Karl on the warm-up show from the Key.
Looking to hang with the Sonics? Fox Sports Northwest has the place. It's the Emmy Award-winning Sonics Primetime. Whether at the arena or out in the community, Sonics Primetime goes behind the scenes where other shows don't. All this, plus the best slams, jams, and dishes of the week. Catch Sonics Primetime, Wednesday night at 9 on Fox Sports Northwest.
That'll be the next time we're with you next Friday on Sonics Television as the Knicks come to town. But first things are first, the Rockets and the Sonics, Game 3 of the 1997 matchup, the season series between these two clubs. And then it's off to Los Angeles for the Lakers, minus Shaquille O'Neal. Mitch Levy, Kevin Calabro, Marcus Johnson, counting you down at tip-off as the Rockets and Sonics get ready to do battle for the third time. The Rockets are undefeated against your Seattle Supersonics this season. Let's get you updated on the Sonics Sports Pulse of the day. Each and every Sonics TV event on the warm-up show, we ask a question, and on the radio show this morning on Sports Radio 950 KJRAM, the question was, who is the best power forward in the NBA? The answer earlier in the season when we asked you that question was Shawn Kemp. My, how times have changed. Let's get out to the streets of Seattle and find out what you say. Who is the best power forward?
I think the best power forward in the NBA is Shawn Kemp.
You don't want me to answer that.
The best power forward is George Costanza.
I don't know about Costanza. I think Kramer's more of a power forward. Costanza's more of a point guard, don't you think?
And when we asked that question on the poll question of the morning on the Mitch in the Morning radio program, the answer today was Charles Barkley, over 45% of the votes. Then came Karl Malone in the 30-plus region. Shawn Kemp got 7% of the votes on the morning show, the program today, and garnering 1% of the attention at the power forward slot, George Costanza, who plays a little bit like Charles Barkley from what we hear. Let's get back downstairs to Kevin and Marcus. Marcus would not be able to guard Costanza down low.
And would not want to.
The faithful 39 have spoken on the morning show. No votes for Gus Johnson, I guess.
Or George Wendt. We go on down the line.
Terry Cummings, pretty good power forward in the prime of his playing career, and I still think he's got a little get up and go that the Sonics could use tonight against this rugged front line of the Rockets.
Well, that's what the Sonics are hoping, that his get up and go has not gotten up and gone, that Terry can still summon it, and I think he can. I think once he gets himself in a little better condition, and again, he's been with the ball club maybe 3 going on 4 weeks now. It's going to take a while for his legs to get under him. The jump shot is slowly but surely coming back defensively. At 6'9", 250, he's going to be a guy that can root Hakeem Olajuwon and some of the bigger, stronger players off the box. He's still going to need some double-team help, but all in all, I believe he's a positive. You can look back to that Laker game. He performed extremely well down the clutch, hit some big three-pointers, some outside shots for this ball club. That's what this team needs, more mental toughness.
George Karl had some thoughts on Terry Cummings and his impact tonight.
Well, strength and his size. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up against Barkley. And he's a guy that we've had trouble with Barkley the last couple of times we've played him. Barkley's picked our double teams away, and if we can play him straight up, it would be great. So I think Terry definitely will see some minutes on Barkley.
In fact, now that you have Nate McMillan back in the mix, does that make a difference in the way you defend their guards? Because they're young guards. Let's face it, in the 2 previous games have played well. Maloney's played well, and Livingston has given them some meaningful minutes, too.
Yeah, we actually showed a lot of film of Livingston hurting us in penetration. Nate makes our defense so much better than I think we're a good defensive team now with Nate. I think we can be special. So We got a lot of aggressive things going tonight. We're going to double a lot. We're going to rotate a lot. We're going to give Akeem basically the same looks we've given him. We feel comfortable with them. Barkley, again, he's hurt us. He's been their best passer out of the post-up in the Vancouver game. I think he had 7 passes for layups that we counted, and so we got to be careful there. But I don't think we can play him straight up. I think we can mix it a little bit, but I think we're going to go after him early.
The leadership of Barkley is a real intangible that I think that people sometimes overlook in the Houston camp. They talk about his rebounding, obviously his ability to score, but his leadership ability and the way he handles his teammates.
I think Charles has adapted to the league a little bit. I think with his team, he doesn't have to score 30 every night. Some nights it's Akeem's night, some nights it's Drexler's night. He really enjoys trying to get Maloney and Price into the game, and I think he's a great teammate. And the one thing about Charles, he says what he thinks, and most of the time I think it's right on.
George, just looking one game ahead of the Laker game. Now Shaquille O'Neal out, they say 8 to 10 weeks maybe for the rest of the regular season. The complexion can change very easily in the West with an injury. I know you've been saying it in regard to the Sonics with Nate McMillan being out as long as he has.
Well, I think you still got a 4-team race that probably isn't going to even clear itself of anything until probably about April. Maybe early April, hope early April, but this thing could go all the way to the end. And one loss or a 4-game losing streak here or there, I think we're all going to bunch up. If the way it looks right now, there's a good possibility that we're all going to bunch up. I don't think Shaq out in L.A. really hurts them a tremendous amount. I think they're a very good basketball team with or without Shaq. In fact, I think in a lot of ways their other guys will strengthen their personality. And I've seen both games that they've played without Shaq. And they're running and they're playing with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of intensity. And I kind of like how they're playing right now.
Well, Marcus, they scored 132 points the other night, the Lakers did, without Shaq. That's promising.
Well, and talking about personality guys stepping into it, look for a personality transfusion for the enigmatic Eldon Campbell. He's going to start playing better basketball. As far as tonight, Houston, they're the pork chop, the Sonics are the pit bulls. That's the attitude that's got to take.
Let's go back upstairs, Mitch, on the rail.
All right, if we can get Marcus just to start barking, we'd be all right on the warm-up show. I'll tell you what, the big difference between the Houston Rockets and the Seattle Supersonics this time around is Clyde Drexler will not be in the lineup, and it may make it easier defensively to double-team the likes of Akeem and Clyde off of a guy that will be in for Clyde Drexler. So the subtraction of Clyde makes it a little bit easier for the Sonics tonight, who come in 1.5 game ahead of Houston for the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. Should the Rockets win tonight, they would leapfrog Seattle for that spot atop the hierarchy of the Western Conference. Here's our upcoming package on Sonics television. They're all terrific games. Patrick Ewing's in on Friday night, a week from tonight. Then comes Penny, Mitch Richmond, if he remains in Sacramento, the Phoenix Suns, the Lakers, and San Antonio with the Admiral David Robinson. 1-888-TCI-VIEW to get involved with Sonics TV. But first things are first. The Houston Rockets and the Seattle Supersonics, the 3rd time this 1997 season. Kevin Calabro, Marcus Johnson with a play-by-play call after a brief timeout on Sonics television.